Hey everyone, this is Joe from What I'm Playing Now, and we are doing another live stream, and today we're going to be doing a live stream of, let's switch over to the table, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Legendary Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a deck builder game. This can be played solo. I think it can go up to 4 players, if I remember correctly, and it's a very simple deck builder to learn if you've never played a deck builder before. If you're a Buffy fan, this is definitely that'll fit into something you might like to play. If you are not a Buffy fan, then there are a couple other Legendary games that you may want to give a play to. I'm going to say hello to the chat real quick in case if people are joining us and watching. I'm going to give a quick overview of the play, and then we're going to play through a quick solo game. As you can see, my player 2, my wife Kim, is not able to make it today, so it is just me. But I wanted to run through a game, so I was looking through the collection this morning, and I figure, let's try Buffy. I picked this game up a while ago. We played it several times. I played it at 2 and 3 or 4 player count, I think it was. It's fun at all player counts. At 2, it definitely seems a little more difficult, I would say, but at some of the higher counts, it was fine, and when I played solo earlier, it actually didn't seem that bad. So let's see how the cards are going to treat me this afternoon. So in Legendary, what you're going to start with, you're going to start off with a deck of 12 cards. There's going to be, your deck is going to start off as Initiative, Soldiers, and Watchers. What those cards are going to allow me to do, those cards are going to allow me to both attack villains that are going to come out into the villain row here, as well as purchase some of the different gang from the Buffy show, which are pulled from the hero deck here. And those cards will go into my hand or into my deck to basically make my deck better and make it a little bit more playable. Whenever I am able to defeat a villain, I will start a pile off to the side, which will be my victory point pile. And while this game is semi-cooperative, as long as you beat the master, then you will have then you can win the game, and the person with the most victory points will win. And I believe I already see one mistake that I have here that we need to pull cards out for. I have the tactic cards shuffled into my deck from when I was going through a game earlier. So let me pull out the 4 tactic cards. Let me reshuffle those. Let me shuffle these real quick. So when you're going through the setup of the game is very simple. You're going to pull out a big bad, which is going to be the evil creature that you're going to be kind of fighting against. You're going to pull out a scheme card, and then the tactic cards, which are essentially what you're going to be fighting throughout the game. As long as you can get through those 4 tactic cards, which are randomly shuffled underneath the master, the big bad, then that can win you the game. If you wanted to play maybe a little bit longer of a game, you can actually then try to fight the big bad himself as like a final battle. Everybody can get a shot at him. But really the way the rules are kind of playing by default is once you kind of clear out those 4 tactic cards, you're pretty much able to end the game. We will lose. There are a couple of different ways we can lose with the big bad. If we read his card here, if there are 4 of the, I think they are called the master. There's 1 master strike card in the deck, but there's going to be cards that we're going to be playing the scheme twist cards. If there's 4 scheme twist cards that end up next to the dark pile here, we can lose. And then there's a couple other ways you can lose. Hopefully we don't run into them. But the way this big bad works is he has basically attacks equal to the dark. As far as always leads, the always leads card is a group of cards that are going to be into the villain deck in a solo game. I believe they said you can pretty much ignore that, but I think I actually put that villain group is the one that I used. Whenever we run into a dark ability, a villain will come out from the deck, so it pretty much just kind of shoves the villains along. Anytime a villain escapes, once this row gets filled and then a villain is pushed off, a villain can escape. I would lose a card from I have to basically choose a card to discard and lose. And that is pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and get started. You'll be able to pretty much kind of pick up real quickly on kind of how the game is played and what we're doing. Just from watching me play. So like I said, we're going to start off with 12 cards in our deck. The first thing I'm going to do is deal myself 6 cards. 5, 6. Set my discard pile there. And on the first turn, what you do is you flip over a card from the villain deck. Oh, and it is a Master Strike. So we look over at The big bad Master Strike. Set the dark to 3, so the dark instantly jumps down to 3. And I think in a solo game, there's only one Master Strike, so that might be a good thing to get this out of the way nice and early. Each player discards a card, a random card, for each Master Strike that has been played. So since I think there's pretty much only one in the deck, this card will go over into the Strikes deck over there. It does not stay in the row where the villains end up. I'm going to randomly lose a card right now, so we're just going to go ahead and pick a card. We will set that into a discard pile over here, and I'm going to keep my victory point pile over to the right of that. So that's going to leave me with 5 cards that I'm going to be able to utilize this turn. And like I said, the cards at the beginning of the game are going to be very limited. The Watchers give me a point to where I can purchase cards, and the Initiative Soldiers give me an attack to be able to attack a villain that is in the villain row. Since there are no villains in the villain row, the Initiative Soldier card that I drew is pretty much useless. And I have 4 Watchers, so that's going to give me, allow me to purchase a card that is 4 or less. There are several different cards here. We have a couple of Willow cards here, and we're probably going to pick one of the Willow ones. You can always purchase a potential Slayer card, which is just a card that you can use in your deck. The potential Slayers have a cost of 3. They give you 2 purchasing when you're going into your phase. Instead of playing this, I can discard it to advance the light. Possibly might not be a bad thing to have, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to that before the dark could possibly be influenced again. So I think we're just going to go with a Willow. Both of the 2 Willow cards here are the same. They are discard a card or advance the dark, but they give me 3 attack. The other one here allows me to draw a card. I can discard a card or advance the dark. And then for every symbol that matches hers, this blue symbol that is already in play before I play her, I get +1 to the purchase. So I think right now we're going to go with, I think we may go with this one, discard a card or advance. Well, they kind of do the same thing. But I think we're going to go with this one first to get this one in my deck, and then hopefully try to maybe get one of the other ones. So that's going to instantly go into my discard pile. Another hero card is going to come out and just refill it. It looks like we got a Buffy out there. She has a cost of 2 and with a 2 attack. And this is actually a pretty good Buffy card. I was using this one earlier. Buffy has a lot of abilities that are activated when this light and dark section over here is down in the dark. But this card actually lets me activate dark abilities on cards even when it is, even while it's in the light. So once we get this up into the light, which is better for us, because bad things can happen if you get to past 3 on the dark side. It actually triggers the big bad dark ability to happen, and then it goes back up to 1. And if we can get this up to 3 light and then past 3 light, we can gain these new courage tokens, which I believe I forgot to actually take one, because you're supposed to start off with one at the beginning of the game. I think when I had this set up, I was sitting at the other side of the table, and I think I threw it back in the cup before I actually set everything up. So I purchased my card. I do have 1 point left over that I can purchase with, but there is nothing with a 1 point cost. My turn's going to end. 6 more cards are going to be drawn. And it's the next round. That was pretty much a round of the game. We're going to go through this until we hit at one of the end game losing conditions, or we can get through those 4 tactics that are under the master, the big bad there, and then actually win and score up our victory points. So the first thing, like we did in the first round, we flip over a Villa card, and we have a Scheme Twist. So we're hitting all the fun cards. We're not getting any villains right now. So what the Scheme Twist actually does, twist, if it is dark, set this Scheme Twist next to the dark. So like I said, if we end up with 4 of these Scheme Twists next to the dark, which I think my wife and I lost the first game we played by that very rule, that happened to us, this gets set to the dark and set the light to 1. So this actually shoves the light all the way up to 1. Now, if it was in the light, you set the Scheme Twist next to the light and set the dark to 3. So that's kind of how the Scheme Twists are going to work. So this Scheme Twist, there is a Scheme Twist pile over here, and normally the cards will go over there unless if the cards tell you different, and one of my cats has jumped up on the table. Hi, Brian. I know you want to be on the internet, but let's stay off the screen for a little bit. So let's actually go through my hand. So since we drew the Scheme Twist, Scheme Twist, no villains are there. This time we have a little bit different of a hand. I have 3 initiative soldiers and only 3 watchers. So once again, I have a 3 purchase cost. I can purchase some of the 3 cost. I think what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of the Willow cards, since we did grab that other Willow card, and they will start working nicely together. I could use the courage token to actually add 1 to my cost. I can also use it to add 1 to my attack. So we're going to kind of hold on to that for right now because it's a little early to actually do that and use that. So we're going to hold on to that till a little bit later. And I'm going to go ahead and get my cat off the table here. And let's go down. And you don't need to be up here right now. And that is pretty much the end of that turn. That was a nice quick turn. So since at the end of the turn I have to draw cards now, my discard pile is completely empty. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up the cards real quick, which you're going to be doing a lot of shuffling in a deck builder if you've never played one before. And then I'm going to draw 6 cards once we get a good shuffle here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Flip that down. We got our 6 cards here. And again, of course, we flip over a card from the villain deck. Wow! Another scheme twist. Okay, so we just read through that. So this one is going to go next to the light, and it actually goes down to 3 dark instantly. Let's just verify we did that correctly. If it's in the light, set this next to the light and set the dark to 3. Yep, we did. So there we go. So now we have one of these scheme twists on the light and one on the dark. On the light, I guess it's a little better because the game won't end if 4 end up in the light, but still, we don't want to go through all 8 of those. There are 8 of those scheme twists in the deck. So going through those would be bad. Once again, we have no villains here, so I really don't have to worry about killing any, destroying any villains or capturing them right now. So my initiative soldier isn't really going to be useful right now. We have 4 watchers, and then we did draw one of the Willow card. So I'm going to do kind of this in a particular order. I'm going to play Willow, and Willow lets me draw a card. So we're going to draw another card. And Willow also says discard a card or advance the light. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discard one of the watchers that I have there. And then just by chance, I just happen to draw another Willow card. So with this Willow card, I discard a card or advance the light as well. Now, it would have been nice if I would have drew the I Owe You Pain first card, because then I would have gotten a plus for the Slayer activation spell. But since I drew it backwards, that really didn't help much. But I do have to discard a card or advance the dark. I'm going to discard the card because I don't really want to trigger the Big Bad's dark ability. So I'm actually going to lose another watcher card there. That's going to get discarded. And it would have been really nice because right now I would have had 4 attack. And that's pretty much all I kind of have going on right now as far as attack goes. I would have 5 with my courage. I'm going to need possibly, I believe, 7 to attack the Big Bad to get rid of one of those tactics. I don't have 7 yet. We're kind of close to that. Maybe in a couple of more turns we'll get enough attack built up and get the cards played our way to be able to do that. But for right now, we're going to just have to stick with the 3 purchase cost. Oh, and I forgot to throw out a card there. Those cards are always supposed to get refilled immediately upon play. So I have 3 more cost. I think what I want to do is I want to start getting a Buffy card. So I think what I might want to do is just, even though I have 3, go ahead and purchase this one for 2. And that is going to be it for this turn. So these cards are going to go into my discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cards are going to come back out. We are going to flip over a card from the villain deck. I swear I shuffled these cards and they were actually shuffled very well, but we do have another scheme twist. Since we are in the dark, this one is going to go to the dark, and this is going to go back up to 1 light. So we are now halfway to losing the game, which is not good. But we're going to try to prevail and get through this. So right now, we have 3 initiative soldiers. Oh, and I forgot to once again draw a hero card. We have 3 initiative soldiers and 3 watchers. I think this time what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be able to do anything with the initiative soldiers since I only have 3. I'm nowhere near the 7. I think what I'm going to do right now is actually spend my 3 watchers, spend one of my courage tokens to actually grab this 4-point Buffy card. Because this one draws a card. If it's in the dark, I can make KO a card from my hand or discard pile. So what KOing a card does is, in a deck builder, as you can see, I'm using cards to purchase other cards. As I'm going through the game, I kind of want to get some of those early card games that you start out with out of my deck. And essentially what I do is I normally just set them right up here at the top of the board as a KO pile. What it does is it kind of removes them from my deck. It thins out my deck, so this way I can get more of the cards that I've actually purchased, which are the more powerful cards, to actually come up, and it lets me rotate my deck through my deck a little bit faster. It keeps it a little bit thinner, so some of those cards that were that you start off with that are useful at the beginning, which get less useful as the game goes on. It lets you kind of work your way through those. So that's a good card, and that's good to start doing, especially since I've only been able to pretty much purchase cards right now and not been able to fight anything. We need to bring out another hero card, which is going to be another Willow card. And then we're going to draw our 6 cards. So I have 1 card there, and again, I need to shuffle my deck. Once again, like I said, when you're playing a deck builder, get used to shuffling your cards. Now, some people like to sleeve their cards for their deck builders because you are shuffling them a lot. You can start nicking up the edges of the cards. You know, some people don't like to riffle shuffle. For a deck builder, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, we'll say. I've sleeved a couple of deck builders. This one in particular, I didn't. But the cards seem to be holding up okay so far. There are some nicks on a few of the corners from doing some of the shuffling from some of the games that we played, but I think they're going to last. So we have 1 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Discard pile there. And we have our hero row filled with the 5 cards. Let's get to a villain finally. Now here's an interesting thing because this is good to actually see. This villain's a henchman, it's a villain, it's a hellhound. Ambush, advance the dark. So there are different abilities that some of the villains can have. They could have an ambush ability. When they're drawn, they have that ability activates immediately. They could have a fight ability that activates when you go ahead and fight them. And then they could have a couple of other abilities that, as we come across them, I'll explain. But right now, since this card just came out, ambush, advance the dark, boom. This basically goes right down into the dark. This card has 3 attack, so I would need to have 3 attack to kill it. It also has 1 victory point, so let's actually see if we can get some victory points this turn. And you know what? I drew nothing but star cards. I can only do purchase. But let's go ahead, let's play Buffy, and let's actually draw a card and see if we can get something with attack. Okay, we actually do have something with an attack. But one of the first things we're going to do is, since we are in the dark, I'm actually going to go ahead and KO a card. I can KO a card from my hand or discard pile. I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of one of the Watchers to start thinning that out just a little bit, since I have so much purchase price cost in my hand right now. Now, I kind of wish I wouldn't have purchased that one Buffy card the last time, because right now I'm at a point where I have 4 Watchers in my hand, as well as a Buffy with 2 attack. And this is a 3 attack card, so I can't kill that card. So, and it also has a symbol on there that if I would have had other insight, I think is what this yellow symbol is. I think that's the word. I can't remember if that's the correct word, if that's the correct icon or not. But a lot of times if you're matching icons, this one just says if I can match that icon, I can draw a card. Well, this is a different icon, even though they're Slayers. This is a different icon there, so that won't be able to come into play. So my 2 attack won't defeat this. We're not going to be able to do anything with that this turn. So in essence, what we're going to have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purchase cost right now. So you can actually purchase as many cards as you want. When you have a lot of attack built up, you can also attack as many cards as you want. There was one time I've actually attacked the big bad twice in one turn to get rid of 2 tactic cards in one shot, which is really great. Since I have 6, and I would love to take one of these 8 cost cards, I don't have any courage to be able to do that. I think we're going to take the 2 Willow cards and add them to our deck. Actually, probably the better thing to do is let's take one of the Willow cards, flip this over like you're supposed to. Okay, it's another Angel, which is a 4 cost. This is completely something that you can do in the game. You can purchase a card, flip over the card, and if that's something that is well within your cost, you can purchase it immediately. Since I did flip over another Angel with a 4 cost, I will go ahead and take that Willow card, flip over another one, and then it is a 2 cost Buffy. So all of these are going to get discarded because that was pretty much all we're going to be able to do this turn. Going to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 6 cards to ourselves. And this is the first time we actually have a villain in the villain row. So let's see what we actually flip over. We flip over another villain. So what happens is the villains start working their way through Sunnydale. They have 5 different spaces that they can work their way through before they're pushed out and they escape to where we're going to have to lose a card. So this villain actually is going to move to Sunnydale High, and then Darla, this villain, is actually going to be the one in Hellmouth. Now, when I actually attack Sunnydale, there's 2 spots on the mat here that when I fight advance the light. So if I can beat the villain here or in downtown, Sunnydale High or in downtown, I can actually advance the light, which is actually kind of good for us. But let's see what we can come up with this turn. I think we're actually going to be able to do a couple of things. Oh, and she actually when Darla came out, she had an ambush ability. Advance the dark once for each Order of Aurelius villain in Sunnydale. Luckily, this is a henchman villain and it's a hellhound. So since there aren't any and she's the only one, we're going to go ahead and bump it up by 1. Right now, what are we going to do? We have enough attack to get rid of Darla, which I think we might do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play Willow first off. Discard a card or advance the dark. I'm going to go ahead and discard an initiative soldier since she is only 5+. I looked her up earlier on Board Game Geek. I guess there was an error in the printing. She should only be a 5, not a 5+. There are some cards that will have special abilities on them, which can actually make them a little bit stronger, hence the plus. Since she doesn't, the plus symbol was actually an error, but she is worth 3 victory points. So since I only need 5, I have a couple Watchers in my hand, and that's going to allow me to purchase this Buffy, which is the reason why I didn't get rid of a Watcher, because I'm going to play 2 initiative soldiers, which is going to give me 5, which is going to be enough to kill Darla, which will set her off over here on the side into the start of our victory point pile. I also have 2 Watchers. We're going to go ahead and purchase Buffy with that. And that's pretty much going to be the end of this round. Let's bring out another card down here in the hero pile. We got another Buffy card with a 5 cost. She is, if it's in the dark, I can get a +1 attack for each villain in Sunnydale. So if there's a lot of villains out there, she can actually become pretty powerful, which is really nice. Now here's going to be something very interesting when we pull out the next villain. Let me deal myself some 6 cards. Of course, we have to do a quick shuffle here. But since we have a gap here from where we killed Darla, normally, as you noticed, I mentioned, we're going to be pushing villains through Sunnydale. Now, since there's a gap here, I actually don't have to move that Hellhound. You only move a villain when they're kind of forced to be moved. So we have 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. 3 more for our 6. When we flip over our villain card, oh, it's another Darla. Interesting. So we have to ambush. Advance the dark once for each Order of Aurelius. We're going to advance it once more since she is 1. Luckily, we got rid of her the last time, or that would have actually pushed us into the 3, which would have activated his the Big Bad's dark ability, which would have been bad. So let's actually see if we can maybe get rid of Darla once again to try to keep her out of that pile there. So what do we have going on for us this time? So I think we're going to be able to trying to just see what we all have here, because we have a couple of different cards here I think that are going to work out pretty good for us. Let's go ahead and play Buffy, which lets me activate abilities even when it's in the dark, or even when it's in the light, but we're in the dark, so that's not going to come into play. That will give me 3. I actually need 5, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to 5 actually right now. But we do have a couple Willow cards. This Willow card is I get to draw a card. So we're going to go ahead and draw our card. And then I have to discard or advance the dark. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick discard here. And then we're going to play another Willow card, which let me draw another card, which I think may have just helped us out quite a bit here. But because of that, I do have to discard another card or advance the dark. So we're going to discard another Watcher card. And what I drew was another of the Buffies, which has 2 more attack on there. So that's actually going to give me the 5 attack I actually need to get rid of Darla. So we're going to go ahead and throw her into the discard pile. And yes, hi Brian, how are you? Thank you for joining me this evening, or this afternoon. And then, because I had one of the Slayer activation spells already down into play and the symbols match, I get +1 bonus to be able to purchase with. So the first one doesn't activate because it's a card that has to be in play. So when I play the second one, that actual ability activates, which gives me the +1. So the first one is only worth 1. The second one's actually worth 2. So that's 3. And then I have one more Watcher in my hand for 4. So I have a purchase cost of 4. And I think what we're going to do is grab one of these Angel cards, which is Advance the Light. And when it's in the light, he gets +2 attack. So it bumps him up from a 2 attack to a 4 attack, which makes him a very, very nice, powerful card if you can get a couple of him in the deck coming out with a couple of Buffies. So there we go. That was that turn. We're going to go ahead and flip out another hero card and then deal ourselves another 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we still have a gap over here in the row. We're going to flip over the 3, which is a Villain Order of Aurelius. The 3 gets plus attack equal to the dark. So right now they are at a 6. Which is not very good. That will be kind of hard to get rid of. And getting up that high is going to be difficult right now. But let's see what we can do. So we actually might be able to do this right now because we grabbed a Willow, I Owe You Pain. Now I have to discard a card or, of course, Advance the Dark because that seems to be what Willow specializes in. So we're going to go ahead and discard a Watcher. So we may not be purchasing anything this turn, which can happen on your turn. But I also have 3 Initiative Soldiers, which is going to give me the 6. So that's actually going to let me get rid of this, get rid of the 3 and actually put them over in the victory point pile. That leaves me with 1 Watcher card left. There is nothing for a purchase cost of 1. I don't have any Courage tokens in play right now for me. End of the turn. And that's going to be it. I wasn't able to purchase anything that time. Back to drawing 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have to do a quick shuffle. So we got 4, 5, 6. There's our draw pile. All right, now this time we actually have we're getting more of our hero cards brought up there and not as many of the Watchers and Initiative Soldiers. But let's see what actually happens here. We have Luke, Villain Order of Aurelius. Fight. Each player discards a random card. So when I fight him, I'm going to have to discard a random card. So I can't go through all of my cards before I do that because you do have to do that. And he is a 6. So once again, we're running up into some more more powerful monsters, and it would be nice if I could actually just fight the big bad already and get rid of him, but it doesn't look like we're going to be doing that anytime soon. So what can we do here? We have a couple of different options here. Let's go ahead and play Buffy. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to use Buffy to draw a card, which is good here. This actually could be a decent turn. Now, Dark, I can KO a card from my hand. Let's go ahead and get rid of another Watcher. Just to try to start thinning our deck out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and play Willow, I Owe You Pain. Discard a card or Advance the Dark. We're going to go ahead and discard a Watcher. So that's my discard pile, and I don't want to get that confused with the cards that I'm actually playing. I'm going to go ahead and play this Willow, which will actually let me draw a card. And then I have to discard a card or Advance the Dark. I'm going to go ahead and just discard the Initiative Soldier I just drew. And then I think what we're going to have to do is we may just actually have to activate the Big Bad's ability right now, because I kind of want to go after one of the Big Bad's numbers. And hopefully this doesn't kind of mess me up here. But we're going to play another Willow, I Owe You Pain. Discard a card or Advance the Dark. We're going to Advance the Dark. So what happens is the Dark is at 3. It goes beyond 3, which is never a good thing. It's going to reset back to 1. And when we look at the Big Bad, his Dark ability is play a villain from the villain deck. So actually, we're kind of shoving the villains through Sunnydale here. Oh, and a Scheme Twist comes up. Since it is in the dark, this is going to go on the dark side, and that might have been a very bad thing to do because we are now at 3. This is going to go into 1 on the light. And I'm going to drop down an initiative soldier, and we're going to actually try to beat a big bad tactic so we can actually get through one of the 4 cards we're trying to get through. And right now we just drew Pergamum Codex, big bad tactic. Advance the light twice. Defeat a villain with victory points equal to or less than the light. So if we advance it twice, we're going to be at 3. We can actually defeat the Hellhound because he's at 3. So he's going to go into our victory pile. So that actually wasn't that bad. So that card's going to go into there, which is 4 victory points. So even though we drew a Scheme Twist that was probably going to come up anyway, that actually wasn't that bad of a turn. We can now possibly purchase something. Since I had played a couple of the Willows before I played I Owe You Pain, before I played the Slayer activation, and that has the ability to give me an extra purchase point. That's going to give me 2 from Buffy, 2 from Willow. So I actually have a purchase cost of 4. I think what we're going to do is purchase another Buffy and get another Buffy into, well, you know what? We're going to go after Angel and try to get some more attacks into our hand. I think that's pretty much what we need to kind of concentrate on. We need to get through that big bad tactic deck as fast as possible right now. So we're going to go ahead and flip out a hero card. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Deal ourselves 6 cards. And see what happens next. We have an anointed one. Villain from the Order of Aurelius. He has an ambush. Advance the Dark. So this comes down to 2. He also has a fight and an escape. So when we fight him, he advances the dark. When he escapes, he advances the dark. So he pretty much just advances the dark continuously. Now this hand, we have a bunch of our initial opening hands. Definitely not as good as we want. And we're not going to be able to do too much this turn. With my attack cards, I'm going to be able to come up with 3 attack, and we have a 4 and a 6 card out there. I got 4 to purchase, so we're probably just going to grab one of the Buffy cards, flip another hero card over, which is a 2-cost Buffy, and that's pretty much going to be it for that turn. That was kind of a quick, easy one. 3, 4, 5. So we need to do another quick shuffle. And instead of doing a shuffle sometimes, when we were playing the Pathfinder card game down at our local game store, I ran that for a couple of years down there. We kind of just started, when you're dealing with only trying to shuffle 50 cards, we would just start dealing cards into 3 different piles to kind of just separate the cards out a little bit. And as you can see, I still kind of do that when I'm playing deck builders. So I think we said we had 5 cards. There's a 6. We have a nice stack of victory points going, which actually is pretty nice. But let's actually see if we can win the game here. All right, this turn I think we're going to be able to do a little bit more with the cards that we have, but we definitely want to play things in the proper order. All right, so let's play Angel and advance the light. So it's going to go up to 3. But then we're going to play Willow, discard a card or advance the dark. I think we're just going to advance the dark down to 2. Although it would be nice to push it over 3. When I push it over the 3, I actually get a courage token. And since I haven't had many courage tokens, that would be kind of nice to get right now. But I think I kind of want to keep all my attacks that I can get right now. 4, 7, 8, 9. Actually, three, 5. Actually, what I think I might do is, I think I have enough here to, and I don't think I want to be able to get to the next one. So instead of advancing that light, I think what we're going to do is we're going to discard an initiative soldier, because I don't think I'm going to need that. We're going to play another Buffy card. I don't get to draw. Oh, I do get to draw a card because Angel does have that symbol on him. So I'm glad I did that. So then we're going to play another Willow card, the Slayer activation spell. I get to draw a card. and discard a card or advance the dark. I think we're going to just go ahead and discard that initiative soldier. I'm going to play a Buffy, which lets me draw a card. This is a good turn. We're starting to churn through the deck. I can KO a card or discard a card. I'm going to go ahead and KO a Watcher. Since we have the other card that lets us play dark abilities even while it is light. And we have one last Watcher in our hand, which I don't know if it's really going to do too much. But let's actually see what we can do with our attack right now. Angel's worth 4 since we did advance the light. We have Buffy here, which is worth 2, so that's going to give us 6. And we have a Willow down here, which is worth 9. I wasn't able to get to 11 to be able to do a big bad tactic as well as the anointed one. So that's kind of why I was discarding those initiative soldiers. Although if I would hold on to both of them, we might be able to, but that's all right. I think what we're going to do with our 9 is actually go ahead and go after one of the tactics, and we will be halfway through, just like we're 3/4 of the way through there. Advance the light 3 times, rescue bystanders equal to the light. So advance the light. The way I've been playing the game, and I'll have to maybe look this up on Board Game Geek later, advance the light 3 times. Since it's already up to 3, I basically just kind of push it back down to 1, and I don't advance it back up. But I do get a courage token since I did go over 3. I may be playing hard rules that way by not actually advancing it again, but I don't know if those extra 2 are supposed to be lost or not. And rescue bystanders equal to the light. I don't know if I'm actually supposed to draw any or not. There aren't any out on the board right now, so we're going to go ahead and just draw a bystander, which is advance the light, so that's going to go up to 2. And I'll have to actually see if, I think rescue a bystander actually is just supposed to be from there, so I wonder if I'm not even supposed to actually draw that. So we're actually going to undo that, because I think rescuing is just when a bystander possibly comes out of the deck, they can be in the villain pile here. If there are no villains in the row, they will go under the big bad where you have to defeat him. So, like I said, I may be playing a little bit extra harder there. I'll have to double check some of those rules. But I think that's kind of how that is supposed to be done. As far as purchasing goes, we have 2, 3, and then we have 4, 5 from Willow, since we had played the I Owe You Pain first. So since we have 5, let's go ahead and grab the bigger Buffy here. Dark, I get +1 for each villain in Sunnydale, which could be nice. And that's going to be it for that turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as long as we aren't drawing, well, even since we're in the light right now, if we draw a Scheme Twist, it won't hurt as bad because it would just go to the light. But we drew another ambush, and we do have to advance the dark because that does have an ambush ability. Now, we do need to start getting rid of some of the villains here that are in the row here. So let's maybe knock out one of those before we actually go after the big bad here again. So we're going to go ahead and play Willow, discard a card or advance the dark. I'm going to go ahead and discard an initiative soldier. I'm then going to go ahead and play Willow, which allows me to draw a card, which is good. And then I have to discard a card or advance the dark. We're going to go ahead and discard the Watchers, which is what I actually just drew. We're going to go ahead and play Buffy to draw another card. Another Watcher. That's fine. And I think I might have forgot to discard a card or advance the dark. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that actual Watcher. I think I actually forgot to do that once there. We'll have to go back and watch the tape on that one to actually see if I did. So I think what we're going to have is 3, 6 attack. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this one. And I wonder if I can't fight him since I don't have a card to discard. But you know what? I guess what we'll do is we'll hold on to the initiative soldiers. I'll fight him for 6. I will use my courage, or fight him for 5, add the courage on for 6, and then I'll discard that initiative soldier. We'll do it that way. That works. And we'll bring out another hero. I think I was supposed to do that last turn. But since I didn't buy anything... Oh, and you know what? I didn't even buy anything that turn. Did we have enough cost to be able to buy something? I think I had both of those out. So we had 4 to purchase with, and yeah, I probably would have. Probably buying this Buffy probably would have been good. So let's do that. So let's deal ourselves 3 cards. Give a good shuffle. We're now getting definitely more cards in our deck. I have not been able to KO as much as I've wanted to. I definitely feel that the last game I was playing, I definitely kept my deck a lot thinner. One, two, three. All right, and let's flip this over. We have a bystander, so they don't move. Clem actually goes into and is captured by the first villain there in the deck. So we need to kill him to save that bystander. Which I have a feeling I think we're going to be able to do this turn. So we're going to play a Buffy card. Dark, you get +1 for each villain in Sunnydale. Play another Buffy card, which you may activate dark abilities on cards even when it's in the light. I can draw a card, which is good. I'm going to play Angel to advance the light. Gives him +2 attack ability. So it's going to give me 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10. So we're going to have 10 attack in total. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go after the big bad for 7. And then I think we're going to go after that Hellhound that just came up and rescued Kent. Advance the light twice, draw cards equal to the light. 1, 2. So what I can actually do then with the other 3, we can actually defeat him and save the bystander, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, KO 1 and discard the other. Oh boy, I kind of like both of these. I think we're going to keep Willow, discard Willow, and KO Buffy. That kind of stunk. But one of the other cards that I drew was Angel. We're going to advance the light. Going to pump me back down to 1 light, draw a courage token. He actually is at 4 attack, and we're going to go ahead and kill this guy for 4. And that's actually going to advance the dark, which is going to shove it down 1. We have 3 to purchase with this time. And I think what we're going to purchase is another Willow, which we actually just did. Flip over another hero card, because there should always be 5. Angel's going to go there. And we need another 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we've gotten rid of 3 of the tactic cards. We've cleared out everything from Sunnydale. And actually, when I defeated that one villain that was there, that should have advanced the light, which I did not do. So we're going to go ahead and shove that back into the light right now. Because just in case if we draw a scheme twist, which we just did, we would have lost the game. So that's going to go there. That's going to shove that back down to 1, I think we said, or does it go down to 3? If light, set this scheme twist next to light. Oh, and set the dark to 3. Yep, that goes down to 3. So we're really going to have to watch how we play our Willows this turn. Because we can't go into we don't want to go into the dark anymore, because we really don't want to flip over any more of those cards, because we have 5 of the 8 cards out right now, and we only have 1 more villain card to beat. So if we can actually play a Buffy to draw a card, I don't know if that's going to give us enough. We can discard a card, or KO a card from our hand. Let's go ahead and actually get rid of a Watcher. Try to thin this out even more. We're going to go ahead and play a Willow and discard a Watcher, so we don't have to advance the dark. I'm going to play another Willow to draw a card, and discard a card or advance the dark. I think we're going to discard an Initiative Soldier there. And I'm not going to be able to get up to the 7. If I wouldn't have discarded that Initiative Soldier, I might have been able to. But we're not going to undo that right now. You don't necessarily have to play all the cards in your hand, and I'm thinking I might not this turn. I think what I might actually do is go ahead with the 4 purchase costs. We're going to purchase a Buffy, flip over another card, and then purchase an Angel. That's 4, because since I had played the Slayer activation spell after I Owe You Pain, she gets +1 to the cost. That gives me 4. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're not going to play the other attack card since I really can't attack anything else or kill anything else. We're not going to push it with dealing cards through that deck. I could have essentially maybe spent my courage to purchase this other 5 cards since I had 4, but I'd kind of like to save that for the attack right now. And hopefully we can get in an attack before another Scheme Twist comes out. I might have been able to end it there had I not discarded that one Initiative Soldier, but sometimes hindsight is 20/20 in these games, and sometimes you just don't know what's going to come out. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we had a pretty good hand this time, and it's a Scheme Twist. And of course, like I said, 4 Scheme Twists on the dark ends the game. And I probably would have been able to defeat that last big bad tactic this turn, because I drew a couple of Willows that have 3 attack, an Angel with 2 attack, and an Initiative Soldier. So between Buffy being able to draw a card and Willow being able to possibly draw another card, we had more than enough for the 7 to defeat him. But of course, evil prevailed in this game, and the 4 Scheme Twists came up and are in the dark. Now, when I played this earlier, all my Scheme Twists were pretty much up at the light, and I didn't run into that. But sometimes it happens, and sometimes the deck builders, especially when you're playing them solo, don't go your way. Like I said, I think I was 1 turn, or if I wouldn't have discarded that Initiative Soldier away, I might have been able to win it on the last turn, which I probably should have. And there were a couple more Scheme Twists coming up actually in the pile here, so there were several of those right next to each other, which just didn't work out my way as far as the game goes. But that's a run-through of Legendary Buffy. If you're familiar with any of the other Legendary games like Marvel, this plays very similar to that. This is a little bit different than the encounter ones. It doesn't have any of the encounter rules, so this is based more off of Marvel Legendary. Some of the biggest differences between the normal Legendary games and Buffy is the addition of this light and dark track, which is actually really cool because it really fits in with the theme of the different characters and how they are stronger or weaker or able to do more things possibly, depending on whether it is dark, where the dark or light is actually, where it is at. Also, the courage tokens are something that are newer. Those aren't in the other games, but when you can get several of those and save those up to be able to buff up an attack in the game, it does really help, and it does come into play some. So hopefully everybody liked this solo run through of Legendary Buffy. Maybe we can get my wife to do a 2-player game of this at a later time. But since she wasn't available today, I at least wanted to run through a solo game. This is one that has been on the shelf. This is one that I really like. Like I said, I played it at multiple player counts, and I've enjoyed it at all player counts. And I really even enjoy it solo. As you can see, it's quite challenging. Hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes or miss too many things on the cards. It's very easy to overlook something when you're playing solo like that because you're trying to keep track of so many different cards and everything. But if there is anything that I missed or anything that I made a mistake on, post them in the comments and we will put them into the video as well. But until next week, I think on Wednesday, I may be back with a live stream on Wednesday. We may be able to get some local designers, I think, starting to play some maybe prototype games as well as maybe newly published games from some local designers. I've been talking to a couple of different people about getting them to do some videos with me. And then next week, I think I have one of my buddies coming over, and I think the two of us will actually be playing through Thunderstone Quest. We'll be doing a 2-player scenario of Thunderstone Quest. He had gotten his copy this past week. We played it down at my friendly local game store that I attend and go to. My copy is not coming in, I believe, until Monday. So I will be heading down there tomorrow to pick that up. But I think we're going to do a 2-player run through of Thunderstone Quest, and then we'll be talking about that on the podcast next week. But until then, just watch Twitter, Instagram, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/whatimplayingnow if you're watching. Also subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/whatimplayingnow. And I just posted up the Raiders of the North Sea video. That one turned out pretty good, so I will work on getting this one up onto YouTube as well and out to the website. But until then, everybody, like I say on the podcast, you know what to do. Go play some games and let me know what you're playing now. Until next time, have a great time gaming, and thanks for joining me.